9 men drove to a restaurant on a Sunday afternoon. They didn't drive home. 177 people were arrested. 0 were convicted. And to this day, officially, legally, on the public record, nobody killed them. This is Waco, May 17th, 2015. The 90 seconds that ended an era, and the years of cover-up, collapse, and silence that followed. Today, we're breaking down everything: the setup, the 90 seconds, the constitutional crisis, and the question nobody in power ever answered. Let's get into it. When the shooting stopped, here's what Waco looked like. 9 men dead, 20 wounded, and 177 bikers face down on hot Texas concrete. Police recovered more than 475 weapons from that parking lot. Guns, knives, chains, clubs, hatchets. 475 weapons at a chain restaurant on a Sunday afternoon. Every major network ran the same story: outlaw bikers, turf war, gang violence. Clean, simple, wrong. Because what actually happened that day, the setup, the intelligence failings, the police bullets, and the constitutional collapse, that story never made prime time. To understand it, you need to understand who was there and why. The Bandidos Club, founded 1966, San Leon, Texas. The founder, Donald Eugene Chambers, former Marine, he didn't build a social club. He built a paramilitary brotherhood on 2 wheels. The patch he designed, a cartoon Mexican bandit, pistol in one hand, machete in the other. They called him the Fat Mexican, and they wore him like armor. Here's what those patches actually mean, because this is critical to everything that follows. The top rocker says the club name, the bottom rocker claims territory, and the 1%er diamond goes back to the 1940s when outlaw clubs declared themselves the 1% outside the law. In the MC world, a bottom rocker isn't decoration. It's a land claim, a flag planted in the ground. And in Texas, that flag belonged to the Bandidos. 1 club, 1 state, enforced. By the 2000s, the Department of Justice named them one of the big 4 outlaw motorcycle clubs on the planet, alongside the Hells Angels, the Outlaws, and the Pagans. In Texas specifically, if you wanted to ride as a 1%er, you either patched Bandidos or you had a problem. And then, someone decided they could handle that problem. The Cossacks Motorcycle Club, founded 1969, Tyler, Texas. For most of their history, a regional club, not a 1%er organization. Brotherhood, riding, their own code. For decades, they and the Bandidos coexisted in the same state without going to war. Different lanes, different worlds. Then, something shifted. The Cossacks started growing, new members, new chapters, and then they added a Texas bottom rocker to their cuts. In the MC world, wearing a territorial rocker without the dominant club's permission isn't a fashion choice. It's standing in someone's living room and telling them the house is yours now. The Bandidos told them to take it off. The Cossacks said no. Put yourself in that moment. You're a Bandidos chapter officer. You've told this club through proper channels, through intermediaries, through sit-downs to remove your state's patch, and they keep wearing it every week, every ride, every event. What does it cost you if you don't respond? In this world, everything. Your reputation, your authority, your territory. Your patch means nothing if you can't back it up. The tension built for months. The sit-downs went nowhere. The bottom rockers stayed on. And then someone scheduled a meeting at a Twin Peaks restaurant in Waco. Here's what the police already knew. The Confederation of Clubs and Independents, the COCI, held regular meetings at this Twin Peaks location, a coalition of clubs discussing biker rights legislation, highway access laws, charity coordination, political business, above board. On May 17, 2015, a COCI meeting was scheduled. Bandidos were going to be there. The Cossacks showed up too. Here's what the public wasn't told in the first 48 hours. Waco PD had intelligence before that meeting started. They knew who was coming. They knew the Bandidos and Cossacks had active conflict, and they set up accordingly. Undercover officers in the parking lot, surveillance cameras rolling, and snipers positioned on the roof of the Don Carlos restaurant next door. Snipers on a rooftop before the first punch was thrown. Waco PD's explanation was straightforward: credible intelligence, responsible preparation, protecting the public. But here's the question defense attorneys hammered for 4 years. If you had snipers on a rooftop because you believed something violent was about to happen, why did you let 170 people walk in anyway? The preparation designed to prevent a massacre may have helped create one. Police were in position. Weapons were drawn before the shooting started. When the chaos broke out, everyone was firing. Bikers, police, and 9 men died in 90 seconds. What triggered it is still partially disputed, but court testimony points to this sequence. The Cossacks arrived in force and pulled into the parking area near where the Bandidos were gathered. Words exchanged. A confrontation over the bottom rocker, face to face finally. Fists first, then knives, then guns, then police opened fire. 90 seconds. The buildup, months. The fallout, years. When it stopped, here's what was left. 9 men dead. Jesus Delgado Rodriguez, Daniel Diesel Boyette, Wayne Sidetrack Lee Campbell, Richard Matthew Jordan II, Richard Vincent Kirshner Jr., Jacob Lee Rhine, Charles Wayne Russell, Matthew Mark Smith, and Manuel Isaac Rodriguez. 9 men, 9 different reasons to be there that day. None of them were reasons to die. 7 of those 9 were Cossacks or Cossack affiliated. 2 were Bandidos. 20 more were wounded, some critically. Nobody won that parking lot. Now here's where it gets forensically complex, and this is the part almost never told. Multiple weapons were fired from multiple angles. Police officers fired their weapons. That's confirmed on record. What was never definitively confirmed publicly, how many of those 9 deaths were caused by police-issued rifles, not by rival club members. Defense attorneys argued in pre-trial motions that forensic evidence pointed to at least some of the deceased being killed by police-issued rifles, not by rival club members. Waco PD held their position consistently. Officers acted lawfully, used appropriate force, saved lives by intervening. The full forensic report was never made public. 9 men are dead. On the public record, we still don't know who killed them. That's not a theory. That's a documented gap in the public record. 177 people arrested. All of them hit with the same charge, engaging in organized criminal activity. All given the same bond, $1 million. All processed on nearly identical affidavits. Same template, different name at the top.
In the American justice system, probable cause has to be individual. You have to show why this specific person committed this specific crime. What Waco PD did was stamp the same probable cause statement on 177 different people. That's not an arrest process, that's a roundup. The legal community lit up. Civil rights attorneys called it one of the most blatant Fourth Amendment violations they'd seen in a mass arrest scenario. This wasn't just about bikers, this was a constitutional question. Can law enforcement arrest 177 people, some of whom had no involvement in any violence, on cookie-cutter paperwork? If the answer is yes, that matters for everyone, not just people who wear patches. The financial damage was immediate. People who couldn't post $1 million sat in jail, some for weeks. Jobs lost, families strained, legal fees mounting before a single court date was set. Imagine being there for the COCI meeting, there to talk about helmet law legislation, and within minutes you're face down on hot concrete, zip-tied, your face on CNN, your employer sees it, your family sees it, and you never threw a punch. The first and ultimately only case to go to trial, State of Texas versus Jake Carazal, Dallas chapter president of the Bandidos, their strongest case, their best shot at a conviction. The trial ran for weeks. The jury deliberated. Mistrial. Hung jury. The state of Texas spent 2.5 years building its strongest possible case against a chapter president, and 12 regular citizens could not unanimously agree he was guilty. That's not a close call. That's a collapse. And while that collapse was happening in the courtroom, federal investigators were accelerating a case they'd been building for years. In January 2016, National Bandidos President Jeff Pike and Vice President John Portillo were indicted on federal racketeering charges. Waco didn't just damage the Bandidos on the street, it gave the DOJ the public momentum to push the RICO case, the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, designed to prosecute entire criminal organizations that took their national leadership down. Back in McLennan County, the new district attorney, Barry Johnson, reviewed the remaining 155 cases. One by one, he dismissed them. By April 2019, every single case was gone. 9 dead, 20 wounded, 177 arrested, 0 convictions. 0. Not one person convicted for anything that happened that day. Read those numbers again. Criminologist James Quinn, who spent years studying the Big Four 1%er clubs, put it plainly. Waco was a failure at every level: intelligence, response, prosecution, accountability. Several of the 177 filed federal civil rights lawsuits against the city of Waco and Waco PD. Unlawful arrest, excessive force, denial of due process. Some were settled, some dismissed. The full accounting was never made public. Here's what Waco actually ended. The Twin Peaks location lost its franchise agreement. It closed. The building sat empty, a strip mall shell with patched concrete where blood had been. The COCI, the political coalition that was the entire reason people were at that restaurant, went underground. Meetings moved, attendance dropped. Clubs that had sent representatives for years stopped showing up. A functioning political body for biker rights dismantled. Not by a court order, by fear. For the Cossacks, 7 dead, multiple chapters folded. The growth, the defiance, stopped cold. The bottom rocker that started everything? Nobody officially settled who had the right to wear it. 9 people died over a piece of embroidered fabric on a leather vest, and the argument was never formally resolved. It just ended, because there was nothing left to argue over. Here's what Waco left behind. They arrested 177 people without the evidence to prosecute them. They positioned snipers at a parking lot and watched 9 people die anyway. They built identical charges on cookie-cutter paperwork and called it due process. And when the trials collapsed, when the charges were dropped, when the restaurant closed and the lawyers went home, nobody was held accountable. Not a cop, not a biker, not a prosecutor, not a city official. 9 men rode to a restaurant on a Sunday. They didn't ride home. And 4 years later, officially, legally, on the public record, nobody killed them. That's the truth Waco left behind. Not justice, not closure, just silence where an answer should be. Drop system or chaos in the comments right now. Was this a deliberate strategy? The arrests, the charges, the pressure, the real goal all along, regardless of whether convictions ever came? Or was this genuine incompetence, law enforcement in over their heads, making catastrophic decisions under pressure with no master plan? System or chaos? Which is worse? Subscribe. I'll see you on the road.